Good evening and welcome to The Nest. I'm your host, Maureen Waititu, and as usual, we discuss real matters from real people, and the most important thing is, how do we move from an unfortunate circumstance into great place of healing and even healing others. The story today is heartbreaking. It's of a little girl many years ago who did not feel safe. As a matter of fact, she was put through the most horrific and the most barbaric action that a protector per se should take her through. Many years later, she struggled with it, she's tried to cope with it, but she's trying to normalize her circumstances as she heals other people, both men and women who are going through the same thing or who have gone through the same thing. I'll call her our hero today. We'll meet her shortly, but we'll be back right after this short video.
Rape is a type of sexual assault, usually involving sexual intercourse or other forms of sexual penetration carried out against a person without that person's consent. Sadly, most cases of rape are by people well known to the victims. According to statistics, the probability of a female being raped is higher than that of a male, but this is not to say that boys are not raped. Sexual harassment happens from homes, workplaces, places of worship, the streets, and most recently on online platforms. Victims of rape are stripped of their dignity and lose their self-esteem and worth, leaving them traumatized, while some end up committing suicide. It is even worse when society shames the victim with questions like, how was she dressed? What was she doing out in the night? Why did she get drunk? Why did she agree to accompany him, among many other unreasonable questions. Gender activism is a response to gender-based social conflicts, which emphasizes direct, vigorous action, especially to challenge violence against a particular gender. Gender activists, especially on rape, ensure to keep safe the vulnerable, empower as well as help victims of rape get past their trauma and rise above the pain. Today on the show, we look into gender activism and get to understand deeper on what it involves.
Welcome back. We have a beautiful guest. Her name is Lucy, and as I was telling her earlier, anyone who comes to The Nest, the show, is our hero because they use their story to share, to inspire, to encourage, and to actually give hope to that young person out there who's been through the same, who's gone through the same, who has experienced this particular circumstances, and also rising out of it. Basically, there's always life after bad or the worst of circumstances. Lucy, karibu sana.
Asante sana Maureen.
Really, thank you so much for joining us.
Asante.
Yes, could you introduce yourself to our people?
Okay, my name is Julius Gatari. I am a mother.
Wow.
I'm also a gender activist. And I'm a daughter.
Yes.
And also I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I'm a hairdresser, so I wear so many hats.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about women. We just know how to do it all.
We multitask.
We multitask. That's why we have to really give and celebrate women that. And guess what? We also have so much power within us. And hence, honestly, the capes, they belong to us. We are the real superheroes. Anyway, just me getting, into it. So, Lucy, could you tell us about your upbringing? Where did you grow up? How was life as a child? Yes.
So, I was born in Kuria, in Migori County. By then it was in Nyanza. Where I was born was in a humble family.
Okay.
But unfortunately, my dad passed on when I was about 3 to 4 years old. I can't actually remember.
Yes.
Then after that, now the family that my mom had got married into, they had issues. And 6 months into my dad's demise, my siblings passed on, three of them. I remained.
Oh no.
Yeah. Now when I remained, there were issues with our family. My mom ran away.
Yes.
But when she ran away, aliniacha huko.
I see. So I think she was overwhelmed with the loss of her husband and 3 kids.
Yeah, and the in-laws.
And the in-laws,
she had to
disturbing her.
She had to run away. When she ran away, she left me behind. Now that's when my problems started. I was overworked. I didn't even start going to school.
Oh dear. How old were you at this time?
At this time, I was about 6, 7 years. Now, when I was about 9 years, my uncle, step-brother to my dad, defiled me.
Oh no.
Yeah. And this, he didn't do it once or twice, he did it several times. And he could threaten me. Actually, I remember there is a day, a night he came, and he told me, even if you tell anyone, they won't trust you, they won't believe in you. Yeah, so I kept it to myself. I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't have someone close to me.
Lucy, I'm really sorry about the circumstances, but you know, for the sake of the person watching at home, it's good to know how this can be prevented in future. How a little girl like you were about 7 years?
7 to 8.
7 to 8, yes. So how did it begin with your step uncle? Or
he was a step brother to my dad.
Yes.
So there is this one night I used to sleep in my cube alone, or in my room alone. Then this one night he came. He tried to force himself into me. Yeah, because I couldn't even resist, so he overpowered me.
And you're just a baby. Yes.
Yes, and then he told me if I ever told anyone, he would have killed me. Yeah, that's how it started, and then he continued doing it severally that I can't even count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For how long did it go on? And you know, just walk us through. You know, what were you thinking? I know you were just a child, and most of those memories could be buried, but still very vivid. How long did it go on for?
It went on for a long time. I can't really tell, because when I couldn't withstand it all, I ran away. Yeah, but it went on for a long, long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so how old were you when you decided enough is enough and took off?
I think I was in class 5 now.
Okay.
So I started asking people to tell me where my maternal grandparents' place was, and that's when I ran away. Yeah, I went there. My mom was not there. I stayed with my grandmom for about 3 months, and then I think they had told my mom that I had come. The mom now came for me.
Yes.
Yeah. But still, at this point, I couldn't even be able to tell my mom.
Yes.
Yeah, what had happened to me. I remember when she came, she told me I was not in good health. She took me to the hospital. They did just general checkup, and then we went back. She left me at my grandmom's place. She came in Nairobi because she was staying here in Nairobi.
She was working and staying here. Yes, and so when she took you to the hospital, were the doctors able to pick anything?
No, they didn't. They just did a general checkup about now they took the blood samples. Right. Yeah, and the urine, the stool, that's all. Yeah, but the other thing, no. Yeah. And while I was at my grandmom's place, now where I come from, it's a cutting community. They practice FGM.
Yes.
No, I didn't want to go through it.
Yes.
For me, I had a reason as to why I didn't want to go through it. It's because I thought if I went to that mama to cut me, maybe she would have
realized
that something was not right with me. Now I refused. The others didn't know why I didn't want.
Of course.
Yeah. Now there now came like there was stigma because I had not gone through FGM. My peers didn't want to associate with me.
Right.
For them, they felt that I was not part of them because in our community, once you've gone through FGM,
Yes.
now you are referred as, like, now you've gone from girlhood to manhood.
Yes.
Now for me, I'm
Yes.
still in
Yes.
this other stage.
Yes.
So no one wanted to associate with me. For me, that I felt like rejected.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then the insults. I started like I wasn't doing well in my education. Now mom had to figure out how to get me out of that environment.
Yes.
She brought me in Nairobi. From there now, my academics improved.
Yes, yes.
But still, I had not even revealed to anyone
Yes, yes.
that something was not good with me. But there were like signs that maybe that could have led them to know that I wasn't okay. Yeah, I would even wake up in the morning and then I feel like I want to cry. I cry.
Yeah.
I was, at some point, I was stubborn.
Yes.
No one could tell me anything
Yes.
that I do.
Yes.
Yeah, I felt like, initially I felt my mom
Yes.
couldn't have left me there.
Yes.
So
You were bitter.
I was bitter.
Yes.
Yeah, at some point I felt like I hated her. Now after a while, now I finished my primary education. I was taken to high school. In high school, still I withdrew from others.
Yes,
I was just alone in my own world.
Yes.
I couldn't even listen to teachers. Immediately after Form 4, I felt like my mom, or because my mom had remarried, I felt that there was no love. Yeah.
She put everything else before you.
Yeah, so,
Right.
and that's when I found someone who told me he loved me, and I fell for him, and that's how I got married at that young age.
Yes, yes.
Not that I wanted,
yes.
but
You
because
you
I
are craving to be loved.
talked it on my Facebook account. I wrote and I reached in the middle. I couldn't finish it, and I didn't post. I deleted it. And then I said for about 4 to 5 months in September on 15th, 2018. Now that's when I wrote everything. I wrote and then posted it on my social media. Immediately I posted. I remember the first comment was because the person who commented was from my tribe. Yeah.
Oh, your tribe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for him, he picked the FGM that I had not gone through. So he told me, and do you know that whatever you have in between your legs, you are abnormal. Yeah, that's what he wrote. When I saw that comment, I logged out of social media on Facebook now. And I cried. After 1 hour, I wanted to come back and delete the
Comments,
post.
yeah.
I found out I had 150 something comments, apart from the one that the guy had talked negatively.
Yeah.
The others were encouraging me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even the people that I had gone school together now could relate how I was, like
When
how
you
was
were
I
the way
behaving.
you were, yeah.
Yeah. Now from there, I got that courage to talk about it. Up to now, I share my story even without crying, because I remember that day I cried. I didn't want like to share it as such, but nowadays I shall say that I'm healing. I can't say that I've healed completely,
yes.
but I'm healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, Lucy, I think you are so brave. It's a very brave thing for a little girl like yourself at that time to be abandoned, and no excuses for mom, but she could have gone through what she went through, and she thought that was her only way out. And did she ever find out what happened?
Yeah, she
afterwards?
found out now after I had talked about it. I had to tell her because she's not on social media.
Okay.
And now I talked to her and she was asking me, why didn't you tell me? I told her, even if I told you, could you have
was too
believed me?
late. Yeah.
Because even up to now, there are those people who do not believe
that happened.
There are those even who try to silence me. I remember there's a time I was talking about it on my WhatsApp status. I had a contact that person was a pastor. He came into my inbox and he told me, stop talking about this thing because you are not going to get someone to marry you if you keep on talking about it. Yeah. Now you see there are those people who will still feel that I need to stop talking about it.
It's unfortunate, yeah. And Lucy, never stop. For the other little girl who could be going through the same thing, or the other little boy who would be going through the same thing, don't stop. Because it takes a lot of brevity, it takes a lot of courage to come out and speak. And I think I had never met a strong woman like you who can go through everything you've gone through and still rise and say, hey, many years later, even trying marriage and, even trying to live a normal life. And then on top of that, there's the FGM issue. Then there are these men trying to silence you because it's not fitting their narrative. And here you are, and you've started a journey whereby you say, I'm not going to be silenced. I will share my story for the sake of the other person out there. And I think I really applaud you for that. And along the way, maybe you can also tell us about what you're doing currently with the activism and how people can reach you, where we can find you, how we can hear more about this story, because I know it's very deep, right? Yes.
So immediately after I had shared my story, now I thought of starting an initiative back in Korea because I felt young girls and women do not have a chance to voice out their issues or what they are going through. Actually, even up to now, I find women want, like, they will pass through me, like, to air out their issues. I find so many of them in my inbox and my messenger. Someone asks me for my number, then I will even put it out there on their behalf because some of them fear that if they talk without, like, when they reveal their identity, maybe they will be in problem.
Victimized and stigmatized.
Now that's when I started an initiative in Korea. Of empowering women and school-going girls. There now I talk about FGM, gender-based violence, rape is included, and also we try to talk to girls and give them, they need one, we give them sanitary towels. And Maureen, I can tell you, young girls and the women go through a lot in our community. It's only that it's not even, it does not reach to the media.
Absolutely.
It's covered out there in the community, and there are those kangaroo courts that they solve the problems there. And the woman will just remain to be the one on the wrong side.
It is true.
So generally that's what I do back at home. I go there once in a while, talk to girls, talk to the women. There are those women who have formed self-help groups through me. Now through that, they're being able to empower themselves. They start savings, chamas, and table banking. And also, as we talk about that, we also talk about FGM. We are also trying to bring men on board because men are decision makers in our community still.
I agree.
So we can only end FGM if we involve them.
Men as well.
Now that's what I'm doing here in Nairobi. I also I'm in an initiative or an organization here in Nairobi,
Okay.
whereby we also deal with the empowerment. We deal with empowering both men and women.
I love
That's
that.
what we are doing.
Yes.
Yeah, and more about charity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also,
yes, we're going. Yes.
also as I said, I'm a hairdresser.
Yes.
Mine is a bit different because I do not own a salon or I go to a particular salon.
Yes.
I shall go where
the
client is, and I do it through online. That's where I get my clients.
Right.
So through this, I meet a lot of women. Now you see, when I go, I'm making a client's hair. Will be able to share. This client may tell me what they are going through, they have gone through, and through this, I've met several people who are rape survivors.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. We have many of them on that they do not want to come out. Someone will tell you, I just want a counselor. If you can be able to connect me with one, I will be okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Lucy, I'm in awe of the woman you are. I'm so proud of you for turning your very, very unfortunate incident for a long time into a positive initiative. And towards the end, of course, you'll tell us the name, where we can find you, how we can support you, because I know what you're doing is incredible. But my greatest celebration of you right now is that you're able to tell this story without shedding a tear. You're able to recognize that it is a journey of healing and you'll get there, but you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with all these women you carry with you and men. And I love how you're not leaving out the boy child, because there can never be change without involving everybody in the world.
Let me tell you, Maureen, like last year alone, I had 5 cases of sodomy. Men too are being sodomized. And then there's that notion out there that men are strong, so they're not even supposed to talk. So these men had been sodomized. I remember one of them reached to me when it was two weeks late. And he had to talk about it or open up to me when he couldn't even go for a long call. That's when he tried to reach out to me. Because on my bio on Facebook, I've written there I'm a rape survivor, and I've encouraged people to reach out to me. That's when they reached out to me.
Wow.
So even men, young boys are being sodomized. It's only that they keep quiet. But these things are happening to both genders. It's not only in women.
Lucy, I think you are a special woman, and I'm really glad that you're able to take care of everybody. And it's a challenge for all of us out here to realize that we're human beings at the end of the day. So what if men are stronger than women? And they've been going through this since time immemorial. However, we're going to take a short break, and we'll have our expert of the day, and we'll hear more about now the psychological effects and the mental effects of being a rape or sodomy survivor. And again, thank you so much for sharing your story so bravely.
Thank you.
I hope this is just the beginning also of our journey with the nest with you. Thank you. Guys, I cannot fathom the pain of a young girl, 7 years, 6 years, being defiled by a protector. It's happening to boys too. And Lucy's story is full of awe. As far as I'm concerned, she is a real hero, or a shiro, as we like putting it here on the nest. We'll take a short break, and we're going to have our expert of the day, who will also walk us through things that one should do whenever this happens, whether it's the sodomy, whether it's the defilement of the girl child, and also how to take care of themselves in the psychological and mental way, maybe differently from what Lucy did, because now she's empowered and she's empowering, but we still have to keep on the message. See you right after the break. Welcome back. It's been a somber mood here, all for the cause. And our incredible guest, Lucy, is brave enough to share her very devastating story. She survived it all: defilement, ran away and took off from FGM, domestic violence. And guess what? She chose to become a hero, and she is doing it. As she heals, she's also healing others. And we can't do much but applaud her here on the Nest, because it's just incredible how people should be told and reminded, no matter what you go through, you have to rise out of it. But we always need help, like the one, our special guest, who is our expert of the day, will take us through in terms of, the mental and psychological effects of such things. But before that, please introduce yourself to our people.
Yeah, thank you, Maureen. My name is Julius Gatari. I'm a cancer psychologist with the Kenya Association of Professional Counselors, and I'm in charge of the training department.
Yes, it's always lovely to have you.
Thank
you with
you.
your big smile.
Thank you,
I wonder if you ever have moments like us, like huku kumeharibika. Let me take a breather. It's on a light note. They say a doctor has to see a doctor.
Yes.
So do you see yourself? Or?
I always go for regular supervisions.
Oh yes.
To avoid the cancerous burnouts.
Yes.
That's what gives me the stay power.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, the emotional drainage is too much.
Yes.
So without that,
yes,
I also crumble down.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're human at the end of the day.
Very.
Yes, and I know because I feel it every time I do my interviews. I go home so drained. I can only imagine for someone like you, because there's an expectation to fix, and it's
those
not an
expectations
overnight.
are unrealistic.
Yes,
Yes.
unrealistic. Anyway, I'm sure you've heard of Lucy's incredible story.
Correct.
From a young girl, she just looks like a fighter, and
Sure.
she's been a fighter. She's still very young. But it's unfortunate about what she went through,
Sure.
defilement by a
The
person
uncle.
she could have trusted as a father figure,
Yes.
having lost her dad, and then now dealing with it. And she explained of her coping mechanism, and one of them was defiance, whereby she was saying, I couldn't listen to anyone. And then the other one was finding love, which is always like, you never know what it is because no one teaches you.
Sure.
And in her case, it's very special because she didn't get that motherly love, fatherly love,
Correct.
right? Going through domestic violence. And then here we are with this amazing lady saying, look, as I heal,
Yes.
I will carry everybody with me,
Sure.
both men and women who are going through close to what I went through or even worse. Right. So jumping right into it, what happens when a person just looks at a child? And when we're discussing this issue, I want us to think of both the boy and the girl, because I'm a mother of boys and I've been aware of the fact that boys are not immune to defilement, or rather to sexual assault.
Correct.
And it scares me so much. And sometimes I even wish I didn't know, but every time I'm like suspicious, like, why are you looking at my child like that, And it's just a motherly instinct. And
Sure.
again, in law school, we came across all these issues, and it's so unfortunate. But psychologically, let's talk about the person who the defender. What goes through such a person's mind?
Thank you, Madam Maureen, for this gesture.
Yes.
And before I go to that, I want first of all to congratulate Lucy.
Yeah.
She's a true heroine.
She is.
Thank you.
And I want to appreciate her and congratulate her
Yes.
for that unfading beauty of her heart,
Yes.
that even in the midst of those turmoils, that she still come out as a very unique and a special advocate
Yes.
to talk about this
Yes.
taboo
Yes.
thing,
Yes.
which has been culturally accepted as a normal way of life. So, and also coming from the culture whereby FGM is part and parcel of our cultural identity,
right.
then definitely I want to congratulate her. She has done exploits. Congratulations.
She has, yeah.
And I wish you success even in your endeavor as you continue to make noise. Let us make noise
Yes.
like the motto of NTSA.
Yes.
Yes.
and we'll be here to support you.
Yes.
And
Thank you,
don't
Maureen.
shut up. do not. Yes, yes.
And actually, this is not about the case of Maureen. And she's just an exceptional.
Yes.
Not Maureen, Arun was going through this.
Yes.
Sorry, not Lucy, Arun was going through this. Sorry
yes.
for that.
It's okay.
Many ladies have gone through thick and thin.
Yeah.
They have been battered and butchered by life circumstances at the mercy of very innocent protectors.
Imagine.
Like you're putting them.
Yes.
And actually, people who defile
Yes.
the young children, because defilement is for young children.
True.
And not is rape.
Rape, yes,
So people who defile these innocent children, like Lucy at the age of 6 years, these are people whom you cannot suspect, because they are too close to the child.
Yes.
These are the people that even the mother cannot even think.
It's true.
That's even a thought
Yeah.
of defining a child can come to their mind. They are the most trusted people ever. And that's now when whatever they do is a betrayal of the highest level. Now, as for the case of Lucy, 3 challenges have been picked from now the story, that she has undergone a significant loss of losing dad.
Yeah. The protective figure.
Yes. And the mentor, the social security, the coach, and everything to her. And being a girl, you know, the dad and the girl, whatever relationship.
Very good friends, yes.
Now, she has undergone through a significant loss in her life that she requires help. And I appreciate that she has started the healing journey. Actually, those tears are not a symbol of weakness. They're the indicator of the healing process. The value of tears. She has started the journey, which is very important. Number 2, she has been traumatized.
Yeah.
Is a very strong, very big wound she has gone through, which is both the physical and psychological.
Yes.
And so they capture now the emotional dimension that I'm coming to talk about. And the number 3 also, she has also made herself jumping from the frying pan to the fire because of now the domestic violence she has gone through.
True.
This compounded now everything.
Yes.
And it become a very, very challenging thing. But in her story, in her narration, I've captured also something like a cycle.
Yes.
Her mom ran away from the marriage.
Yes.
Similarly, she also took off when she was put in a corner where she could not remove herself. So she, in the healing process, she required to be handled in all those dimensions.
Yes.
And so now, maybe let's talk about now somebody who has become a victim of this kind of a situation. Now, beginning with the rape, so the defilement. And defilement, first and foremost, what it has done, it has that it shattered her into pieces. First of all, she could not be able to voice it out. Why? These are confident.
Yes.
She could not. Number 2 is a taboo topic. Number 3, where she's coming from the culture, she doesn't have a say. After all, she's a woman. She's a woman.
Yeah, and the threat of silence.
Yes. Yeah. And so as a result, I won't thank God that she has not even developed depression, and she has also not committed suicide. I won't thank God for having survived that kind of matter. So this has shattered her future completely. It is this flower which has been eaten by the worm, and at the same time somebody come and cut the banding and mutilated it. But the beauty is that the 3-star, the trunk has not been uprooted. This is the trunk now we are seeing here. And this is good now to be a very, very sprouting trunk. So in terms of the psychological devastation, when somebody has gone through that, there is this kind of a sense of dispersonalization. Sometimes I don't know whether she has reached a point of feeling whether am I really the one, or it is someone else. These things are happening. There is a point of depersonalization. There is also the aspect of being sometimes, because of what happened, she can develop a state of don't care. This don't care now make her to be very promiscuous. Let me put promiscuous in quotes. because now of what she has gone through. And there's somebody who can also engage into alcohol and drug abuse as a way of learning out from this psychological pain. So she gets the best counselor who is in drug and substance abuse to escape. Escape. But remember, escaping is not solving the problem. And if she never got also a helper, sleep disturbances at the end of the day, eating disorders like anorexia nervosa or bulimia nervosa can be a challenge for a case. And it also is now developing the male chauvinism. No man appeal to her.
It's true.
Men are worse than the devil in hell. So that is male chauvinism. And I hope that is not the reason she has come up with this kind of an organization, because it can be a psychological reaction to the pain she went through. But with the journey of the healing process that she's through, she overcome it and become a good advocate. So she can hate men. Thank God she didn't develop the hatred for men because she got married. So that dimension has shook up so strong enough. I want to congratulate her. And similarly, now her future, if she has progressed academically and she has performed very well, is the favor of God, is the grace of God, not because of whatever. So somebody get devastated in all those dimensions, and as a result now they become careless, sometimes they develop depression, sometimes they become very, very irritable, and many times, every time they see this, the image of a man, it takes them, they flashes back. It takes them down. Somebody was happy, all of a sudden it's like a ball that has been deflated of the energy, and then there's the tendency to withdraw, become socially withdrawn, and that being alone again is not something very, 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 very good. But I want to appreciate Lucy, because if she was able to voice it out, it is the mind that has found itself. And this is very, 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 very important. This is a lady who can also have a lot of problems in marriage. Not because the spouse is bad, but because every time even the spouse wants to become intimate, the mind goes back to the perpetrator. And this can even cause condition like vaginismus, because she can't function sexually well because of this, the injury she has gone through. And so, and then the problem with the Africans is that when something like that happens, when she develops a condition like vaginismus, we don't want to understand it's a psychological condition. We want to attach witchcraft to it. Hiyo ni mambo ya kamote. Na hakuna kamote, is just her mental composition, which is not functional because of the injury she has gone through. So it can also make her to be a very, very brutal spouse in the relationship. She raises just quarrels from nothing. There's no apparent cause, but she always gets a reason for quarrels. So this can bring a challenge. And maybe something, maybe to wrap up that before maybe, is this issue about now the mom taking off. Because also the marriage was not very, very, very productive. There is a challenge when somebody has gone through that kind of a situation, to also start attracting other scavengers. That the spouse you get is also somebody, you get attracted to the same dysfunctional people. Because now, like the spouse she landed to, he also started now doing exactly what was happening to her mom. So it became now a cycle. And so intervention is very, 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 very important. Yes.
I hear you, and I can see the connection of the trauma and the reactions that a person will partake. Should, for instance, the coping mechanism, and I could hear a lot of things that Lucy was mentioning, isolating herself. We didn't go into the details of her ex-partner, but Lucy, does any of this sound familiar? Like, are there things you're like, hey, that was me? You know, even for your own recognition, because sometimes we don't forgive ourselves, and we label ourselves thinking there's something wrong with us, but in reality, sometimes it's good to hear that it's normal to have reacted the way you reacted towards some circumstances. Did any of that sound familiar?
Yeah,
yes.
It is. Because I remember even when I was in marriage, there were times I didn't want to talk to my partner. I would even go silent for a week without no reason.
Right.
Yeah, and I would even cry. Yeah, each and every morning I would wake up, especially when I was now pregnant. I would wake up and start crying.
Yes.
And then after he has gone to work, I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Other things he has talked about, actually I went into depression. I had to use antidepressants. And one thing that made me to come out, I remember there is a time I almost killed my kids. I don't know, I felt that they were making noise for me, and then I started, like I was strangling them, and then a neighbor had to rescue them. And then that's when I realized I was not okay. And I had issues with sleeping. Up to now, I've not
to naturally fall asleep.
I usually have a pattern. Once I interfere with it, I can't sleep.
See.
Yeah. Even when I go to sleep, I have to either switch off my phone or put it away. Because if someone calls me and I had only slept for 30 minutes, that's the end until the following day.
Right.
Yeah. And another thing, I felt that was not okay with me when I have just small like stress. I overeat.
Yes. Coping. It's all coping. Right. Yes.
Yeah, so those are some of the things. And then there are times that I felt, now before I started this healing journey, there's a time I felt like, no, I didn't want even to have male friends near me. I felt like they were the problems in all the things that we go through. But now that is changing. And I didn't like attending social events. It's not that I'm trying to do that. I want to stay alone with my kids in the house. I don't want to associate with people. And then I was a social media addict. Something I'm trying to overcome. So I will spend even 20 hours on social media. I just want to see what people are talking about, but I don't want to be in real life. I don't want to associate with people.
I understand. You wanted something to attach yourself on without really showing up. Right. And again, I'm taking a few things out of this. And some of the things I'm taking out of it is, I think even when we are marrying our spouses, when we are dating, and this also goes to you young people, if you feel like someone is irrational, they're acting a certain way, one of the things I think we need to normalize is asking questions. Has anything ever happened to you as a child that you feel you're still dealing with? We cannot self-diagnose, but it's good to be aware. And anyway, that's why we have a show like this, so that we can hear from an expert like you, we can hear from a survivor like Lucy, and also even someone at home would think, oh, wait a minute, maybe my wife could have gone through something, and maybe that's why she acts the way she does. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of our childhood traumas, whether it's extreme horrible cases like Lucy's, or that abandonment or rejection, it manifests itself in future. I know, because I went through abandonment, and I found myself also attracting the kind of people who were exactly like the person who abandoned me. And until I dealt with it, everything turned around. And the change begins with you. And what you're doing, Lucy, is so incredible. Your life will literally never be the same. And now it's good to also, maybe this is going to be our last aspect, and I think it's a very important conversation, which I've been trying to really get you to touch on. But Lucy, may I ask, how old are your babies?
One is almost 11 years, and the other one is turning in October 7 years.
Oh, lovely. Boy, girl, girls?
Both
boys?
girls.
Both girls.
Yes.
I want to know your mental status every time you're with them, and what kind of a mother you've been, realizing that these are girls like the girl I was years ago. Do you have do you struggle with the fear of somebody doing the same thing to them?
Yes. Before now I came out to
Yes.
talk about this, I think I was a toxic mom to them. That's something I usually admit.
Yes.
The way even I was shouting to them, and maybe I didn't realize.
Yes.
Something that right now I'm seeing with my firstborn, because maybe she picked it from me.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some moments that I feel she's shouting to her young sister,
Yes,
and
yes,
that's
yes.
now something I'm trying to correct.
Yes.
And something she picked from me when I was ill, I
true,
was
true, true.
stressed.
Yes.
I would shout to her. Yeah, and I'm overprotective.
Yes.
It's something that when I'm around, I
Yeah.
don't want them to go away
Yes.
somewhere that I cannot see them.
You cannot control the circumstances.
I have to watch their every move.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm very overprotective with
Yes.
my kids. I
Yes.
don't allow them to go
Yeah.
somewhere that
Yeah.
I'm not sure where they are going.
Right.
If they are going somewhere, then someone that I trust.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think like I trust
Anybody.
male
Yeah.
male people to be
be
around
around
my
your
kids.
Yeah, especially
Yes.
at that delicate age.
Yeah.
Because like your youngest is around the same time, there's unfortunate circumstances happened. So because we're about to wrap up, maybe you can just in 2 minutes tell us ideally as parents what we should watch out for, what we should tell our children so that they're able, in case anything happens. Because I can tell you, I started a long time ago, and I've told my boys nobody should touch them in various places,
Yes.
and we revisit every week. Has anyone touched you here? You know, you need to tell mommy in case anything happens and all that. And in as much as I can build that wall, there are times, many hours a day, I'm not with them. When they're picked up by the school van, when they're in that school, when they go to visit their friends. But I think there's the aspect of empowerment. So I don't know whether I'm doing the right thing, but I'd love to know what are the things we should tell our kids so that a little girl like little Lucy or little Lexi like mine will be like, like child language. What can we tell them so that they're able to communicate with us parents or the caregivers?
Yeah. Thank you, Maureen.
Yes.
And again, I still want to appreciate Lucy.
Yes.
And maybe to let my sister Lucy
Yes.
to know also overprotection is not parenting. It's not the right way of parenting.
Yes.
Because you're only addressing your need for mistrust that you're having. What is there is that parenting is supposed to be 50-50 sharing, so the spouse needs to be engaged in this. Now, for the young children, remember they are different from us in terms of communication. So they don't have enough language to express themselves. So one way to, and they are really modeling a lot from us, one way to be able to communicate to them is first of all in the house, to have an open dialogue. The house should not be a military camp together, whereby it's only the parents. The children are objects.
Who have the voice.
There must be freedom
Yes.
for the children to hear their views. And as they are hearing their views, you perceive their views as an adult speaking to you. That's another leaker mate, another age mate speaking to you. So don't see them as children. And for them to tell you, you should be on the same level, so you don't stand. Anybody who is bigger than a child, that's a giant,
needs to go down. It's true.
If possible, kneel down.
Kneel down, yes.
When you're at their level, they're able to relate with you very well.
True.
Then create time, because and today, because you are career spouses to us, we don't have quantity time. What we have is quality time. At least have about 30 minutes with your children. That is more than enough. 30 minutes, and during that time, if they are young, do even body search, do body investigation. Watoe nguo waoshe, utaona pahali aliumwa. So do a body search, especially when they are very, very young. Then don't shout at the children.
True.
Don't shout. Discipline is derived from the Latin one disciple, which means learning through instructions.
Yes.
Children are learning through instructions. So don't shout. If there is tension between the spouse and the wife, don't bring it in the presence of the children.
Yes.
Wait for the children to sleep, then you can now jump on one another if you are the jumping type.
So safe space.
Safe space.
Yes.
Then watch their play, because now that they can't talk with you, they always play with the toys. Watch when they are playing with toys. Like if there's a child who is picking the doll family and is speaking to one doll family that I'll pinch your ears. You need to know that that is exactly what the environment is talking to her.
Yes.
They are now acting.
True.
See the kind of play they're engaged in. When you see a child probably with your traveling bag, they are opening it and entering inside. They are telling you that I saw a dead person in a coffin. That's why they're demonstrating that. See their acts and then also allow them to have, if they can be able to draw.
Yes.
See them and give them a piece of paper, let them draw. And let them explain to you what it depicts, because that's the language for the children.
Yes,
they have to
agree 100%.
And whatever they tell you, trust.
True.
Whatever they tell you, trust, because they are the expert of their life.
Yes, and they're very innocent, so they don't have the capacity to make up things.
Perfect.
Yes.
So if we do that, then if we cannot be able to arrange that kind of a situation, then also let us seek expert help.
Exactly.
Over and above all, our house helps. When they come, before we hand them over the house to take care of our children, we need to do thorough orientation.
True.
Actually, sometimes they are coming on Sunday and on Monday you're supposed to be in the office at 7.
To work,
so you didn't get time for orientation.
True.
Our house helps need to be orientated. Then also let the children know that at least the only person with access to their body is only the mom. It's only the mom actually. It's only the mom.
True.
Yeah, because some fathers are also suffering from from paraphilic disorders. Is the mom, and this mom shouldn't be such a trusted mom that even when you learn the secret from the children, you're not going to reveal it to the public, because even children have got their own image to protect. So when you do that, things will be okay. And also remove that aspect of being an authoritative character in the family. And when the dad is tough, let the mom become. When the mom is the disciplinarian of the family, the dad becomes, so that when there is trouble from one of the parents, they can get security. The other, instead of getting the security from the neighborhood, then also learn about your neighbors. Know the neighbor, because sometimes we are almost entering the same door, but we don't know your neighborhood, know their children, and know how they are doing with your children. When they visit your house, don't say that thieves have come here. No, welcome them, receive them very well. They might tell you secrets which you don't know about your child.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. Thank
Good
you
neighborhood
so much.
is very important.
Absolutely. And anyway, the community raises the children.
Sure.
And I think that's such amazing wisdom because it's instilling the empowerment.
Sure.
So lastly, Lucy, where can people find you and what's the name of your organization?
I am all over social media, Instagram, and Facebook. I use Lucy Weisiko.
Okay.
And also the name of my organization back in Migori County is called Me for Her Empowerment.
Me for Her Empowerment.
Me for Her Empowerment.
Okay.
It is, I have a page on Facebook. Okay. Also, I'm in another organization here in Nairobi. When I'm not in Korea, I'm here participating with the one in Nairobi. It's called the Ruka Initiative. Yes, and they can get me through maybe people who want to book an appointment with me, or someone has an issue, wants to talk about they have gone through the same thing with me. They can reach me through 07 15 56 37 72. That's the number that they can reach.
Wonderful. You can say it again one more
07 15 56 37 72.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for this. My heart has been thumping. I didn't realize how much everything took a toll on me, because I'm also speaking as a parent. I'm speaking as a woman in the society who has a voice. And every time I sit here, even when I interview my guests, I'm also learning. I learn a lot. And thank you so much for honoring us with your presence.
Welcome.
Great. So guys, you hear, I think I cannot add any more in terms of protecting our kids from these monsters, because we are not going to sugarcoat it here. Let's empower them. Let them know that you are their friend. And little Lucy would have had a place to run to, but she did not have it. And let's watch who is around our kids. as we check again this unfortunate issue, let's do the right thing also, and let's check who is, even in the neighborhood. And eventually, we're going to make the world a better place and a safer place for both boys and girls. Tomoka, Coffee Africa, thank you for hosting us. Thank you, my amazing crew behind the camera and all the gadgets. Thank you, Fashion Clinique, for dressing me. Thank you, Strands and Curls Hair, for making my hair so beautiful. Thanks to me for this makeup. Totally kidding, but yes. Until next time, do have a lovely night. Take care of yourselves, be safe, and remember, it's okay to feel how you feel, and it's good to accept, and acceptance leads to healing. Have a good night.